Hard times build character.
This isn't just a show, this is real life. It's not about how you start, it's about how you finish.
You gotta see it before anyone else can see it.
Every second, every minute, every day.
We train for life. We got you.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Relentless Way podcast. Season 3, episode number 5, Building the Relentless Team. Paul Alvier here with my longtime friend and business partner, Matt Strout. We are here to, again, give you some positive perspective and good, loud energy, as always, is our goal. If we are doing that for you, and if we are, sharing these perspectives and the guests that we have on, sharing their stories to refresh your mind every time you listen, to kind of refresh your mode, then we would really appreciate that you continue to share. The episodes have been spreading. We're getting into the hundreds of listens, which we really love to hear and we love to see, because we just solely know that we are letting people, not just change. It's about changing lives, and it's about doing all that good stuff for people, but we at least know that they're listening, and in certain moments we're just giving them a different view through a different lens for them to conquer something, to make a change, or to do something positive, right? That being said, let's paint the picture a little what our goal is for this season, right?
Yeah, I think this season was cool. I mean, the past 2 seasons were great. I think it was Paul and myself building up our own personal courage just to kind of get out and do exactly what he just said, and knowing that we're constantly having another avenue of just putting that message out. So I think this season's been, a season for us to say, all right, we got some good momentum going now. We're starting to feel more excited about this, right? It goes from being a little bit nervous and overthinking, let's say, like we all do, into just shifting that same feeling to just excitement. Now we're like, all right, let's keep doing this, because we do have all of the things that Paul just spoke on, and it makes you feel like, all right, we're doing it, right? One of our avid listeners just said the other day, she woke up, and she wakes up every day, and she says, she shifts around with different podcasts, but she said this morning she woke up and she's like, whose voice do I need this morning to kind of get me going? And she said it was us. So I think that was pretty cool. Super grateful for that. I certainly have my own Rolodex of people that I like to wake up to and hear. So from the beginning, it's always been working to become that. So to get one of those the other day was really cool. So super grateful for that. And we're going to keep putting it out, because that's why we do this. But this season specifically, I think it was the intent to kind of stop for a moment and to truly know where we are in present time, but then to really go back and to appreciate and tell some stories from the beginning of time, 10 years ago, being that it is our 10-year anniversary of this movement from the day that it started, and to kind of paint picture from past experiences leading up to present, and then at the same time go future and paint that futuristic vision of what it has all been for, and now to close the gap between the two. And we're having fun with that by going a little bit over here and then a little bit over there, and kind of reminding everybody, this is where we've been and this is where we're going. This is how we're going to get there from these different experiences, and kind of going back and forth and leveraging those different conversations. So.
And the first 2 seasons, it was cool because you were able to, if you didn't know us to the extent that you do now, or know what this Relentless movement is about, what the Relentless Way is, you got to experience what we were becoming in the moment. You had heard a lot of guests that we were, dealing with, that were entering our circle through the last year or so, as far as the podcast life goes. But now we're able to kind of bring you back, as Matt said, and let you hear and listen and see and be able to visualize and truly understand what our mission was from day one, from year number 1, and now watch us grow and grow with us, and us help you grow too, right? That's the big purpose of sharing all of this stuff. It's for us to be able to speak it out loud, for us to be able to bring guests on, team members of ours, and all just continue to grow together. And for everyone that's listening, if you want to be a guest, reach out and let us know, because this isn't we're calculated, but we just want positive perspective on here and good people and sharing good things in this chaotic world, right? So again, we're excited for this topic today, as we are for most, but we really got our juices flowing pre-show. We have a couple real good points within the show, but we really want to talk about team and our team, how we could say a few things, how important they are to us, how we wouldn't be here today 10 years later without building a strong team and without learning from that team as well as giving to that team, right? So the way I look at it is team is probably the most challenging part, as we talked about, to be able to scale the brand with many minds on it. So it's not just Matt and I, as it was to start. It's not just the addition of Franco, the addition of Pete, of Hillary. Now it's become more than that. It's doubled that. We have 11 solid coaches that are in the trenches with us right now, to our core, our nucleus of our team, as well as many others that we've added on the outskirts, as far as people that have played a huge role, from our close network to our nutrition network to our meal service network, our experience director, things such as that. So we're going to really get into the growth of our team, the expansion of our team, the ups and the downs of that all, right? Starting with the coaches.
Yeah, first we should definitely start out, like Paul's saying, shouting out the squad that we have today. So presently, we have the thickest culture that we could ever dream of. It's painted on the wall based upon our core values and written in black and white words. So I think that was one of the biggest moments for us, really, along the journey, which we'll get into, of the ability to separate from what the team embodies and represents of Relentless, and trying to separate ourselves from that, really, and defining it. And it's hard. It took all of the 10 years, and it's still going to keep going, right? So I think, number one, the willingness that we have from our team is, we couldn't be more grateful for. So the willingness just to show up every day, to work hard, to believe in the brand, to go into the trenches, to try new things, to that part is something that I get the chills thinking about, because of from where it started to where we are now. And I think the coolest part of where we are today is understanding more than ever that it's not what you say, it's how you say it, right? And I think for us, the ability to go back and tell stories and to connect with our young buck coaches, and by young, I mean young in the game, not necessarily age. I mean young in just embarking in this professional journey of their careers. The ability for us to share those stories, I think in the beginning you go through this part where you think you don't want to sound like a know-it-all, and you don't want to sound like you did it all, you've been there before, you don't want to be that guy, right? So I think for us, it was really about trying to find that sweet spot of knowing that we've gone through the trenches and we've had some really crazy experiences, ups, downs, lefts, rights, all over. And we've always found a way to stay together, pull through, and find solutions, right? And now it's if you tell the story to teach and to guide and to understand why, it's really unbelievable, right? So the ability now that we're using to take these experiences and see how it's the separation, right? It's never expecting why they don't get it yet, or why they didn't see it like this, or why they didn't do it like that. It's us to kind of take a deep breath and remember ourselves 10 years ago, and then to take that very similar experience and to embody a lesson inside of it, and to then expedite what took us multiple different years and times and experiences to get to, is to try to get their light to go off immediately in that moment and leverage that time now. So what it took for us to gain to be who we are today on the fitness/business end, which is completely different, which we'll get into that as well, is that we want to do that now faster and faster and faster, so that they don't need to fall as many times as us. We maybe fell 2, 3, 4 times on a certain little way to get it right. let's let them fall once, let them feel it, right? So we don't want to just helicopter or lawnmower parent them. We want them to feel things and then immediately pick them up, sit them there, talk to them, teach them, guide them, and then throw them back out there and let them roll. So the ability for them to just allow us to do that, I think, let's start with that. It just we're forever grateful for that, and it's honorable. We take that to our hearts. We're very prideful for that.
And it's being the leader that the coach needs us to be, not the leader that we want to be in just the way that we operate. We obviously have a style, and our style is to communicate, to use perspective in a way that works for them. And interesting enough, over the last week or so, I had an interaction with one of our coaches, just talking about the growth and the peak that a lot of our coaches are getting to, and they're starting to reach. Not the end, but just a point that they're ending up at, that it feels like a wall for them. It feels like the end for them. It feels like too much overload, right? So remind you, we have a strong cluster of young coaches from anywhere from 20 to 24, 25 years old, right? So this is another direction of leadership that Matt and I have had to really help ourselves with, and it's very different than dealing with the team that are veterans, for the lack of better words, and it's very different than dealing with our children, right? So it's in the middle of it all. It's a part of a journey which we'll get to one day with our own, but now we're dealing with this inside of a business, right? And inside of a movement, inside of the Relentless way. So the conversation kind of went somewhere like, it was me kind of voicing, I really want to share this story. I want to say this stuff, but I don't want to be that leader, that parent that just keeps talking about things that I went through and I did. And that individual turned to me and said, listen, we need to hear that. Like, they need to hear that. So again, then it reminded me, okay, now what's my delivery? How am I going to deliver that? And as Matt said, that's the most important thing, is giving them perspective with the intention for them to learn and understand, and not giving them perspective for the intention for us to tell a story, right? So it becomes a challenging thing, because your intention may be one or the other, but how it's perceived and how you put it out may completely sound like the opposite way. I could sit here and say, this is what I did when I was your age and going to school and juggling all this. Or I could say, hey, listen, I want you to hear me out, because I think this could help you. Just listen and listen to what I went through, and know that I made it through, and I'm confident that you can too,
And it's growth phases, These moments, we've been blessed to have multiple people go through them inside of our team, and what you start seeing is if they're designed or made for this specific world or not, right? And it doesn't mean that they can't work at a high level in a different field, right? Which is fine. But I think when push comes to shove and your back's against the wall and we feel pressure and you feel intensities, it's like, what do you do? And I think in what we do, we like to say, like, we help them build a business inside of the business, right? It's their own personal business of their own self that's still in line with the Relentless Way, the big brand. So there's so many lessons that have to take place, but the brand is 10 years old, and these individual coaches could be 6 months old, 1 year old inside of their movement. So this ability, again, is like something that you can't, it's almost like you can't, again, I was talking the other day with one of the younger coaches, and it's like, you want to bring them back to that feeling, but you can't almost, right? It's like, there's just certain things that are not going to happen again, where it was like, things were just so up in the air of us trying to figure it out, and literally like every dollar counted to everything, and it's like a questions of like, are we getting this or are we getting that, or are we in, we're getting little bits. I remember getting little bits of chicken salad at the bagel store at Andy's Plaza for like $2.25 and making that last all day. So when you start making sales now and you start working and you're working to try to get your sales and your clients, when you start interacting with someone, and now for the first couple times you're trying to get someone to invest in you and your time, in the beginning you think, well, this is what I'm worth type deal, right? And then when it starts getting real and you start actually making a true business interaction, you start realizing that you much rather have the experience and take a little bit off to get that interaction and to build momentum into that. And that was the whole other side that we had to figure out ourselves of, one thing loving fitness and helping and coaching and watching people grow and evolve, but then becoming business operators and working inside of a true living, breathing organism of a business that is forever fluid and never shutting down or off. It's forever on. So like that was like a whole separate thing. So now it's like our ability to build up confidence and value inside of our coaches to have these conversations and have these talks, but then to also let them know like you're not really as valuable as you think you are just yet because you haven't done anything yet, right? So it's like Paul said, it's that line of understanding, like it's not too much one way and it's not too much the other. So we have to be real, we have to be honest, we have to paint the vision and the idea of understanding this is what you can become if you do all these things, but it's not guaranteed, right? You are just blessed to have the opportunity to work to become this. If you do it or if you don't, it's completely on you and your dedication to yourself, your time, and everything that you do.
And it's catching them in those moments too. I think that's the most challenging part, but the most important part is catching them in the moments where they're as close as possible to feeling that way. Then giving them that perspective when they are in that moment, the best you can, and the most sought out way of speaking it out to them that you possibly can, because the reality is sometimes when people are in those moments, they don't want to hear other crap because their brain is shut down. So you have to find that moment in their peaks and valleys, right? Of when they're like, maybe catch them when they take that deep breath and they have the best moment of clarity in these moments of struggle or feelings of defeat, and lay that perspective on them, lay that story on them and it's not the most gentlest way. You don't have to be gentle with people, you just said, right? I think one of the most important things is, again, finding a balance of how to deliver it, but giving them the reality, right? Forcing them to make themselves vulnerable, to in those moments truly feel and understand what's going on, and not just like, okay, you'll get through this, you're good, we'll talk when it's all done and over. No, like in the moment, feel it, and then listen to our perspective, listen to other people's perspectives, make yourself vulnerable. You have to be able to speak in your own mind that it's okay that I'm struggling and failing right now. These are the reasons why, and not just like, I get it, it's tough. Some moments like you're so overwhelmed, but once that settles down, you can't just be like, okay, it's done and over with, I'll deal with it again when it comes up again, because that's not how anything works, That's not how, to me, anything has ever worked in a growth way for myself, And
I think the third part, and where we are today, is now putting together techniques, drills, and different disciplines and habits to help now learn, grow, evolve, and keep pushing forward.
Helping them create their tool belt.
Exactly. Right? So now it's like we get them, and it's totally different. It's like we give a tool belt. One of the big separations, I believe, for Paul and myself throughout the journey was working to separate from what we gave to what we got. So we love to lead, we love to build, we love to watch people grow. And I think in the beginning it was like, we saw a little bit of goodness or potential inside of somebody, and we're like, we could take it all out. We can make them become this or that. And it's like, is that real? Yes, but at the same time, it also has to be fully driven from the human, the individual. And I think we were thinking too much of ourselves, almost in like a way, like of like, it's not about that though. It should never be about that. Like, I shouldn't want more for you than you want for yourself. For sure. So I think it was also a learning moment of, all that other energy that I used to do, who I give it to now over the past 2 years of my whole shift is myself. And that was a big shift. And I think when we've done that throughout the journey of looking to work to become the example first and dedicate to ourselves at the top of leadership, and then to forever be the example to then allow, it's a feeling of energy. The team knows under those moments of duress who to go to because we live those. We don't know everything.
When they look left and right, that influence can't be denied. So
it has
when they look
they
look to anyone within their team. When they look to somebody for something, they're going there because they feel it and they know it. And maybe it was never spoken by you, but they know it. And then what happens, as Matt says, when you're prepared, when you're prepared as a leader and as an individual, the natural influence happens. So when they come to you, you are ready yourself to show them what tools you have, what tools you use, and also potentially what tools they could add to their tool belt. So I think, again, that's been, the team has been one of the most challenging things. Also one of the funnest things we've had a lot of fun 100%. With it, a lot of ups and downs as far as how we approach different people. The best part about it for me is like the switch up and the constant change of who you're dealing with and what type of person you're dealing with.
Oh, yeah.
Every situation is different. So not only are we taking this on with our clients now, but we're taking it on with our team members, and we're implementing a lot of the same practices and the same things that we're doing with one or the other person in front of us in the same fashion. You know?
And two things. Number one, I like to word this as like leveling up and growth phases as like building calluses, right? So we talk about the whole human. When these coaches come to us and they are overwhelmed and they're feeling pressure, I'm like, all right, usually it's a good thing, honestly, but you don't look at it like that. It's like you have all this stuff going on. A lot of the coaches
they especially don't look at it like that.
They don't look at it like that. We're dealing with young winners, and they have a lot of good stuff going on, and they're just like, oh my God. So it's really in the moment just being like, all right, relax. This is a good issue. If you have a lot of things going on, unless you're like running around being silly, that's silly, right?
For sure. Yeah.
But we'll tell them that. If not, they're really just doing a bunch of good stuff, and they kind of just need to take one step back and reassess and then get back in there. But I like to say we're building calluses, right? So you have your calluses on your hands from training your physical self, and then you have your mental and emotional self that you work with on a day in and day out basis, and that comes with discipline. Discipline along the way is understanding what to do, why to do it, when to do it, how to do it. No matter what you feel emotionally, is to still do it. And I think as you develop different routines, that allows you to stay on track and on path along the way. And all we're trying to do is to show, especially our team, right? So like what we said before, it's a trickle effect. Leadership trickles down. So the more that we work these different styles and techniques for all different individuals, it allows us to understand more and more different individuals. As we work that with our members in our community, it trickles. That trickles through households, from moms to dads to aunts to uncles to children, right? And then on top of that is our team. So now as we keep growing and evolving that team, that message now just keeps multiplying and scaling. And I think that's always been the goal and intent, obviously, but the ability to do that has been, again, like Paul said, it's a blessing, because just as much as we help them grow, they help us grow too, because it allows us to figure things out. Like Paul said before, you can't be the coach you want to be for yourself. You have to be the coach of whoever you're coaching that's in front of you. And there's a lot of different personalities, a lot of different energies, and a lot of different feelings that we deal with on a regular basis. So again, could it be overwhelming at times? Maybe, but I think now it's just more exciting and fun, right? It allows us to we're playing chess, we're playing a big game, so it's like, Paul also used the word earlier is like understanding roles and responsibilities. So it's like, those things are forever shifting and changing. So we have to be so ready and able to stay calm and assess scenarios and situations so that the brand never diminishes standard and experience. So at all times, this is a living, moving, breathing organism that needs to have adjustments and shift constantly changing. So
one thing that I've loved to do the most as of recent over the last year or so, especially with a lot of our younger coaches are very, very, very hungry. So you like to use that hunger, and it's so interesting. After moments where maybe they go through some of the hardest struggle to that point in their life and go through the craziest things, the overwhelmingness of schedules, of life, of relationships, or whatever it is so soon after that is when you slap on them that new role, that new thing, or that thing that they always wanted to do, and because they have everything so sharp, right? And if you think about it and watch, think about even your own experiences, to everyone listening, when someone goes through the hardest shit, or they go through some of the darkest times, soon after that is when their mind opens up, and honestly is when they rid all that fear of taking on opening a new business, taking on something they've always wanted to take on their entire life, right? Mm-hmm. Or even in their place of work, right? So for example, for us, I found that we've done a better job of, and where we've really utilized it, of watching a coach go through moments of struggle, meaning just something as simple as overwhelmingness of their schedule, and then they go through that for a month, they figure it out, they weather the storm, and then the month after, more shit just keeps coming on their plate, and they're handling it better than ever, because that was reps, that was practice, right?
Yes.
That was them establishing their role and knowing who they truly are,
Well, they say you only have so many moments in life where you truly get to see who you are. And if like there's true moments of like back against the wall,
Right.
you don't really know how you're gonna figure out what's in front of you, and you have to figure it out. And I think as leaders, and like truly stepping up and voicing that we are leaders and that's who we want to be inside of the community, inside of the whole, the whole big picture of life here now. Like it's bigger than that for us. You got to stay ready so you got to get ready, you know what I mean? And I think for us, it's the ability to work these different techniques and disciplines to never forget them, and then for us to evaluate too, right? So like everything he's saying has come from himself first, right? And then now I believe that where we are throughout this journey is we do have some really different clarity of vision and the ability to see time differently and understand. So like we do things now probably without even recognizing that we're doing them, but we're constantly assessing, right? And understanding, because that's just, we understand that's how we have to operate. It's like we don't have moments, you can only make so many mistakes.
For sure.
Right? And then like, this is the real free market. It's the jungle, I like to call it. You do somebody not right or wrong once, especially in the world we live in now, they're not coming back. They're telling everybody. You have to live up. You have to be a good person. You have to follow through on your word. So the ability now to watch, to see, and then assess the individual, and then to help them individually is really cool as well, but then to use all the different tools and techniques and to help them. A lot of times it really is about taking that step back and reassessing, and I like to always go back to time. There's 168 hours in the week, right? So to really break it down and then to say, whoa, like, all right, because in the moment, usually what it is of overwhelmingness is you feel like time is just closing down on you, right? So it's that ability to step back and assess, and then to reallocate and prioritize and delegate how you put yourself in. And a lot of times it starts with reminding to take care of yourself. And I do believe that Paul and I have done the best job that we've ever done of, since the pandemic especially, of making sure that we take care of ourselves first, always, so that we can be ready to lead at any moment. We were just ready.
So like when someone's going through something really bad and they fall flat on their face, like you don't take time to, like, it's not the right thing to do to take time to like feel bad for yourself and think about what you could have done and opportunities that you missed, right? Like that's not how we deal with shit. I'm partly messing around, but like it's crazy, like the human body, the human mind just goes to that naturally. So it's a comfortable place, right? It's a comfortable place to hug yourself. It's a comfortable place to coddle yourself and feel sorry for yourself and feel bad for yourself. And it's okay if you have moments like that. It happens, right?
Oh, yeah.
But as Matt said, you have to have those things to go back to. I was in a conversation actually last night, and we're talking about the housing market right now. So my wife and I sold our home, and now we're kind of in limbo as, early 2022 as we're speaking right now for, I don't know when people are listening, it's gonna be months down the road, years down the road. But it's 2022 and this market is booming right now, right? So of course there's moments of like defeat, of like, crap, like we're stuck in the middle now. But all we could do is think back to, we made the decision we made to sell our home and do good by it, right? To sell our townhome and get ready for our next step into our single family home. The position we're in now, all we can do is say, okay, how are we going to grow during this time that we are renting something that we maybe didn't want to do? How are we going to grow, and how are we going to come out in the positive end? Physically, mentally, emotionally, financially, everything. So we're having this conversation. My father-in-law was on FaceTime last night with my son and my wife. My son went to bed, and we're talking, and I love having conversations like this with my father-in-law because he has a similar mindset in this, and he goes specifically to my wife because she was having a moment of like, it's just, now we're gonna have to do this for another year. And he goes, listen, if and this is giving someone your perspective in the moment, he does it, so I believe he does it pretty well. If I could tell you I've been in your shoes, like how you're feeling right now, right? In my early 60s, I've been through a lot of life. I'm not saying I know everything, but I've been in your shoes before, so it's okay that you're feeling that way. But now, one thing I can tell you is now focus on the two of you and what you have in front of you of growing, of making positive movement of making good decisions while you're in a position that maybe you don't want to be in. Because he literally goes, if I could tell you in the housing market and in real estate how many things I missed out on, and if I sat here and cried about them, I would have missed out on more. But he's talking in the sense of millions of dollars. You know what I mean? He gave a cool story about they have a summer home in LBI, and when he first bought that home back in I believe it was probably the 2000s, like the early 2000s, so maybe like 2008 or 6, 7, 8, whatever it was. He bought that home, and there was another home behind the lot behind where his mother's beach house was, and it was a small Cape Cod. We're talking like right on near the bay, but it was like 2 houses up, huge lot, but run down. It was going for $80,000, right? This was 10 plus years ago, because the market was still going into or coming out of that crash in 2008. Now that home's selling for millions of dollars, right? I said, what did they do to it? He said, really nothing. Like, they aesthetically fixed it up. Did they knock it down and build a monster? Nope. It's the same Cape Cod that was there. But his point was, like, listen, you could sit here and talk and think about and reflect on all the stuff. You just have to use those experiences, know what you went through and how you felt, so that next time it can help you make that decision better. Pull the trigger, not pull the trigger, whatever it may be, right? Just make that decision in a clearer mind with perspective. So point being is that we have to minimize the moments of feeling sorry for ourselves, of feeling bad, because as we always say, no one else feels sorry for you, no one else feels bad for you, you know? So I think a big point in leadership is, and especially with the growth of our team, has been to all collectively help each other in those moments, to pick each other up and say, yo, you're good, get back on the horse and get going, you know?
Right. I think one of the things I taught myself over the years to say is, like, I can't be what you're being to yourself. I have to be the opposite.
For sure.
So most time people call me.
It's challenging too.
It is challenging. So most of the time people are calling me when they need something or something's not really good in their life, which I'm proud of, right? On that call that you make. So in the moment, it's about the system for me in my mind is like to be respectful for the scenario and situation, right? Never downplay somebody, because everyone's moment, like whatever I can handle has nothing to do with what that person can handle. Yes. So like completely separated from that, right? It's not like, come on, like I did this, and this. Like 100%. You can't get through this? Like, no, that's bad. So it's being respectful and honorable to the given scenario and moment, to give it a little bit of power in the moment of saying, like, look, this is not right, this is messed up, like, I can't believe, like, but then immediately shifting from the power of the problem, right, respectful, but now shift all of our power and our energy to the solution immediately, and to basically shift, and depending on the given person, again, because it has to be, my tone will shift. It will shift to being extremely aggressive to some point. So it either starts immediately or it gets to the end like that. But by the end of that conversation, I am aggressive, I am intentful, I am purposeful, and I will feel the energy shift. I will take control of that energy of that human being, because that is the power of it all, right? Like Eric Thomas always says, when you start doing what you do, which I will chase Eric Thomas in that fashion of the ability to deliver product and experience of leadership like he does, you become like a power plant. It's about energy. I look at myself as a power plant, so my goal is to bring you in and hook you up to me type deal and be like, stop, we're gonna reset you real quick. You got all this bad energy and all this, let's respect it like I said, but now, boom, I'm gonna give you some new stuff now. Take this and we're gonna go out. From here, I need you to do this, this, and this. Bang. Yeah. Tomorrow, we'll reset, right? And it's like, it's giving it a little power and respect. It's letting them know this is a moment in time, and now giving them things to do in that given moment, because what that does is it starts building momentum right there. And there's two big things that people of success or people who get things done in this world understand about momentum especially. Number one, momentum is created by yourself. It is a decision to create, and it could be done at any moment when you decide, okay? It's a self-decision. The second most important thing is that when you have momentum, you don't mess with it, okay? So as you start realizing, if you think back, you start making decisions differently when momentum is flowing. So for example, again, going back 10 years ago, Paul and I turned 21 in this movement, right? When you're 21, you want to go out, you want to party, you want to have fun. And in the beginning, we started trying to doing all of it. We tried to multitask and still run the business and build a brand and go out. And eventually, you start building some momentum and we started to feel who we were truly becoming and the impact and the role that we played in the community and our team and the people inside of everything that the brand represented. And we knew deep down we weren't our best selves in those moments of coming in hungover or tired. Like, we weren't the best self. And I think in that moment, it's about assessing and then being able to make sacrifices to not mess with momentum. And it's very, very hard. That's the moments of isolation and solitude and being alone. But the ability to say, you know what? It's Saturday night. I just crushed this week, Monday through Saturday, and I feel so good. And I could just, take this weekend and stay in. I could keep eating healthy. I could keep my mind right and maybe read a little bit, drink a lot of water. Or I could go out because everybody's hitting me up and I go party. And not saying it's right or wrong, right? But it's in the moment of understanding what decision is going to get you closer to your best self, to the one you're looking to do, right? It's what are you trying to do, right? And then in that moment, that decision is the hardest, though, to not mess with the momentum. So I think that's, in this moment, what we're trying to do now is to, again, control how far people go when they do derail, right? So to control the diversion of how far they derail themselves, and then to understand in that moment, let them be, but then focus on solutions right away and teach them that. And then that becomes a habit that we see now of our older veteran coaches that they understand, and it becomes a trigger for them too.
And that habit that we create, and specifically talking about momentum, that flashed us forward to when the pandemic just hit, right? I say when, but 2 years back now, right? When it first came about, because it wasn't a doubt in our mind because we've practiced that already. We've been in a scenario where we had the decision to say, hey, in 2020, when that first hit, our momentum was going full speed. We were rolling. Business was booming, right? We were flowing, and we're getting back there. We're growing, but the reality is we're not there. We're not back there yet, and that's the reality as far as that flow and that feel that we had. Mm-hmm. So again, when that hard line hit and that day hit of shut down, the natural decision for us, because we've practiced this already, going back to the days of us making a decision to go out, to delay that energy and delay that flow and momentum, or to keep it rolling, we didn't skip a beat, and again, that's what it was all about. And we kept it rolling, and one thing is the doors being locked or open, but the other thing is our minds and our energy and our momentum being locked. Our momentum was never locked. Yep. It was never stopped. From literally hours, it didn't stop for a minute. We just kept flowing. We created a new rhythm and a new momentum for our team. And in those moments, as Matt just mentioned, those veterans, of course, they felt it already with us. We've all been through it together. So when we made those decisions, when we speak of those decisions in our early 20s and back in 2013, 2014, they made those decisions with us. Franco and anyone, people that were on the journey and on our team at that point, they made those decisions with us. So for them, they were the ones uplifting the youth and the younger coach and saying, hey, we're good here. Yeah. Did we go through a shutdown and a lockdown like that? No. But we went through moments of potentially our momentum being shut down and locked down, right?
Correct. Our own personal pandemic through just entrepreneurial journey.
And another thing I wanted to really bring up is the main things that we see. We've obviously highlighted them through our conversation here and through these perspectives and these stories that we're telling and just things that we're getting into. But what are the main things that we see specific to the coaches and leaders that we're breeding? What are the main moments? There's many minute ones. There's many micro ones within. What are some of the common things that we see really hit them hard, during their growth?
I would say time management and lack of confidence in self. So it's, like I said earlier, it's the ability it's a service, it's an act of delivering a service and a product, but it's very much so, it's you and your energy. So the confidence that it takes to go to somebody and say, you're going to pay this amount of dollars for my time, energy, experience, effort, and knowledge. It's real, it's very direct, right? So it's a very it's not something that you're normally used to. It's not like you just show up and do this and you get paid on it. It's something that is much more intentful based upon who you are and what you're bringing to the table, and it's very real and raw. If someone doesn't feel like you're going to truly impact their life and do what you're telling them they're going to do, they're not spending money on you. So you could, and that comes with time too, like the imposter syndrome, the fake it till you make it. Like, that is real. Like, we did that. Did we really think that we could change like, we did, but like, we didn't really know how. Like, now we like know how to do it, right? Like, so throughout the 10 years, we've developed like systems and plans and all these techniques, the things that we're talking about of how we could truly take someone. I could take someone in front of me, and the thing I always say when I address any new person that I get to speak to as the initial contact, as they're looking to enter the journey, is I love this call because I get to understand where you are in this given day, where you're coming from, and where you're looking to go. And I'm going to explain and to show you how Relentless is going to get you there, right?
Yep.
So, you know, now the other side of that is true energy and feeling that, right? So like, I know what I've done. I know what I've seen. I know what I've overcome. When I speak with conviction. It's not a question, it's a fact. I know what I'm capable of. My goal in life now is to give that to everyone else around me, not just the coaches per se, but to people, right, throughout the movement, to go out and get whatever it is that they desire, that they have, whatever it takes inside of them to get it. But now with our young buck coaches, again, young buck meaning just young in the growth of their career, is to say, hey, no, you can do this. You have that. You have what it takes to take someone and guide and lead them and motivate and change their entire life. So that and time management, to me, the glue to everything. Doesn't matter the industry. If you want to win, how you own, prioritize, delegate time is the secret sauce. That's it. You know, so again, very, very common to feel overwhelmed, but I also believe that people don't use time the way that they should, honestly. Like, when I look at time, I see a schedule in my mind constantly. It's 168 hours. It's Sunday through Monday, all the way. 168 hours. How am I going to optimize and use this? So now it's optimization of this beautiful grid that I see. So how do I create the most momentum to be my best self at all times, and then to keep pushing the movement in the right direction? And that, I believe, is something that we've grown so well to be able to control for ourselves. We're forever growing and trying to get better. And now I think we're the best at being able to figure out how to get the people around us to have that mindset.
Yeah. And in the middle of it, in between the feeling of being overwhelmed and the lack of confidence, is the most important thing is being real with yourself. So you'll see a lot of people at certain points in their journey not be able to overcome in certain moments that feeling of being overwhelmed, and that feeling of having no confidence of how to deal with it. And sometimes most of the time, it takes perspective. It takes someone else's energy, like you said, to boost them up, to be able to open their eyes and see who they truly are in those moments and who they need to become or who they need to be, right? We talk about schedules a lot. We talk about time management, feeling like there's not enough hours in the day, right? It's a common thing. We just had great conversations with one of our coaches, and they're going through that, and we've been through it, and everyone's going to go through it, and you go through it again and again. But being real with yourself in that moment and saying, hey, listen, especially for us as people that run our own business, that we work on the business, and even our coaches who run their own businesses and run their own schedules and their own lives more than anyone else. It's not the man saying you're coming in at 9 and you're leaving at 5, right? And then anything outside of that, you're good. Do whatever you please. It's not that comfort. It's not that relaxing feeling. You have to have the ability to understand that 9 to 5 is how many hours? Is 8 hours, right?
Yeah, it's a decent,
8-9 hours.
Yep.
So what time do you really have compared to what you're like? Are you being real with yourself?
Yeah.
You know, like are you truly looking and saying, if I had a 9 to 5 and I had to punch the clock and work, and I was doing that and getting this for 40 to 50 hours a week, am I putting in time like that? Or am I just so overwhelmed with the change and with the switch up of all my schedule and this that I actually have a lot more time? I'm only really punching in 20, 30 hours, and I need to be more efficient, you know? The biggest thing is the change with school, with college, right? That we see a lot. I went through it personally myself. Right. I think the strength that I had in those moments was I was such a meticulous person. I was such a schedule-oriented person as it was because of my past anxiety experiences that I was already dealing with things at 17, 18, 19 years old in my life of learning how to organize and schedule and be efficient. That helped me in those moments because I could see how and I could feel in moments how it can get overwhelming, right? Of how you could have a class from 10 to 11 and then 1 to 3, so that takes up a long period of your day, but then what the fuck are you doing from 6 a.m. until 10:30 and then from 3 until you put your head down, Right. Are you working? Okay, then work goes in there. But if you really do the math and add up those numbers and those hours, I used to do it and break it down and be like, Paul, you're not as much going on as you think. It seems like a lot, right? There's commuting, there is a lot of different things. And then what happens is, this is the biggest thing, the semester changes. It all goes back. You got to go back to the drawing board. But let's utilize that. Let's utilize that and compare it to things that we're going to get involved in life, or bring it into our business and our work life, right? A lot of tools and tactics that I use to harness my schedule from when I was driving up to Keene, driving to Manalapan and working at Andy Plaza, going back home to Jackson and maybe working a night shift at Solabella, going to bed and doing something very similar the next day. Now these experiences of when I need to maybe go and do something real quick or something gets in my schedule where it's off-site, it's a meeting, it's a call, it's an emergency, it's nothing because I've prepared and scheduled and I know what's possible when everything's changed and there's so much madness in your schedule. So being real with yourself in the middle of all that and saying, Paul, cut it out. You're not you might feel overwhelmed, but you're really not. There's more than enough hours in the day. There's more than enough time to get shit done. Be efficient and map it all out, and you're in a good place. And that's being real with yourself.
No, that's super well said, because when you do get to the point where we are and we're going to continue to get, is that we own time. Time doesn't own us. So like Paul said, it's a gift and a curse. It's really cool, but it's also really scary, right? To be in full control of your own time, oh, that's cool. It's cool until everything you do with that time dictates what you get back, right?
Because also time is money, right? It turns
value,
into, as you grow and you start getting through these phases of your life, you have to pay bills, you have to have an income, you have to uphold that standard of on a financial end. So it's the reality of it. It's easier to say, don't put the pressure on yourself. You're young, you don't have all that. But as Matt said before, everyone has a different situation. Some people don't pay a car bill till they're 25. Some people have paid a car bill since they were 15 or 17 years old, right? Some people haven't paid this, whatever it may be, right? A phone bill since they were younger. Some people might not till they're older. Everyone's situation is different. So you can't look at someone and say, don't worry, you're a student, you have no responsibilities. Because that person you're looking at may have more responsibilities than 100%. Technically we have. You know what I mean?
And like what Paul said as well earlier, I like to bring that up, is the reps. You could always give a lesson to another human because it's all repetitions. So if I speak to a college kid, right, when I speak to them, I'm not going to degrade them and put them down and saying, you think this is hard, wait till you get into the real jungle, right? Because that's what I really want to say, but I'm not going to say that because that's mean. That's not my mission.
They don't know the jungle yet.
They don't know the jungle yet. My goal is to get them ready for the jungle. So it's to say everything Paul just said and to use our perspectives now. If you look at my schedule on a weekly basis, it is about true optimization of the seconds. I know everything I'm doing, from the time it takes me to change before my workout, to eating a meal, to having a phone call, to taking a ride to somewhere, and everything's in there, even my time for myself, because it's a dedication to myself. I make an appointment for myself, to myself, right? Mm-hmm. That's it. But when I look now, I got this huge playing field. So it's almost, for me, it's kind of cool because there's no turn off time, right? Mm-hmm. It's I'm always on, but I'm not always in, but I'm always on, I like to say. So I'm not always in the facility, but I'm always on. There's always different things that I could be doing. But one of the cool things that I added into the repertoire was self-care. So when I look at something, so if I'm talking to someone right now that does work a 9 to 5, right? It's not, we're not talking one way or the other. This is about for anybody, right? So if you work a 9 to 5, my recommendation would be write a big schedule, 168 hours in the week. Put your 9 to 5 in there first. You need that to live, right? The next thing you should put in is self-care somewhere. That should be the next most important thing, because without yourself, you can't take care of everything else. Then look at it and be like, whoa. Because you're going to start realizing that there's so much little bits of time that you could put in that will push you a little bit farther. We heavily recommend educating, separating. If there's something that you're looking to do or become or change, find another person that's either doing it or done it, and then learn and start opening up your mind and perspective towards it, because by putting that into your mind will start pulling you towards that. And by seeing people do things in a different ways will allow you to work to become that. And now you'll start seeing the day and the week and the month like opportunities, right? For me, it's all about opportunities. How am I going to make myself better? How do I make how do I impact my family? And then how do I impact the brand? Like that's what it's about, right? And it's like, so every single thing I do, I should be able to evaluate and say, like, what is this impacting?
Right.
What is going to grow from this, right? And then at this point, I take what we do very seriously. So there's a lot, there's very little bits of like wasted energy or effort. Like there's very few things I'm doing that don't have purpose or intent behind it at this point in my life, which again, I'm proud of. Like, it's like we do what we want when we want in a cool, calculated, efficient way.
Right. And, to bring it all full circle, the team, the one thing with our team and with our coaches, the one thing that we truly focus on, and it all boils down to, is, especially specifically to the Relentless team, are you having fun? Are you loving? Do you truly love what you do?
100%.
And we always have to check on that, because we are growing. We know our answer to that, right? All these things, these tools, these tactics that we're using, these schedules that we're laying out, it makes it a lot easier because we truly are loving and have grown more love for what we do, from our family to our recreation stuff we do in between to our work life. It all blends together and we truly love it. Right. So we constantly have to check on that with our team, and that is one of the most important things. If you're listening as a Relentless team member, if you're listening as someone that is part of a team, make sure when push comes to shove that you truly are enjoying and loving what you do, because that's on the life end. That's important on the life end. And then use all these tactics and these tools and these perspectives that you gain from listening to resources like ourselves and other things to grow yourself in that direction, So,
and when you have that passion that he's talking about, the burning sensation in your gut to go out of your way to find the things that he just said, of the tools, the tactics, and the disciplines, is what's going to drive you to not want to give up in those moments of pressure and feeling like, oh, I'm never going to get through this. So it is extremely important. It starts with life, and it starts with quality of life and passion, and what you do on a day-to-day basis it's key. It's a major part to this whole piece.
Right. And to close it all off, when you're coming in, whether it's to Relentless or to anywhere you're going to, invest in something to better yourself, to help yourself, to advance in whatever direction it is in life. Because when we go into to invest in something, that's what we're doing. Be sure that you're getting that energy from someone. Be sure that you're doing your research. You're looking into people. You're understanding and knowing that sometimes that connection and that energy and that feeling goes way further than all the aesthetic things that come with it, no matter what you're buying, no matter what your next chapter is or what you're investing in. And really, really focus on the person / team that you're getting involved with, that you're surrounding yourself with, and it all comes back to that. Our Relentless team, like we said, is growing now and continues to grow. We're up to 11 active coaches, very strong. We have our Freehold facility. We have our Bradley location opening up. It's going to take a lot of team. It is taking a lot of effort from each individual in all of their certain roles, and that goes as ground level as those coaches to as far as our network, from our Eat Clean Bro, our My Plan Nutrition with Stephanie, our Jack Cole, our experience director. Everyone has their finger on something and plays a role in Relentless's growth, and just bring that understanding into wherever you're going and whatever you're investing in your life. Matt, if you could just let them know, what we would love them to do if this impacts their day, their life, where we want them to share everything, and at minimum we just appreciate that, to share this energy and share this positivity into people in your life.
Yeah, I think if you already are part of the movement, we're forever grateful for you, and let's keep digging and getting better. If you have any ideas, send them our way. Let's keep growing and building this movement together, because that's what we're doing. If this is your first time listening, we're honored to have you here, and that we want you to understand that this is the real deal. Like, this is a mission. This is not stopping. This is a full takeover of the delivery of a product, of a service, of an entity that is being recreated, right? We're focusing on the whole human, the mental, physical, and emotional aspect of forever looking to get better day in and day out. So if you, as an individual, are looking to make that step and make that shift and make that change, we truly want you to reach out to us and allow ourselves and our team to guide you into that unknown, unmarked territory, and let us do what we do. This is what we do day in and day out, and this is our passion, this is our love, this is everything we are. So allow us to be the leaders into that next place, as well as if you are in this field and you want to join the team and be a part of the leadership role of this, and to not only continue to grow on the leadership based end of the top, but then also to get that message out and to help grow that brand and to help this trickle effect throughout the whole world, reach out as well, because we're growing and we're only looking to keep that movement getting stronger and stronger. And like Paul said earlier, it starts with the top, as ourselves being the example as leaders, but it takes a whole team, it takes a whole army. So this is just the beginning. We're starting to get rolling real heavy now. Let's all keep doing what we're doing, share it away. Let's spread this love, spread the wealth. Let's share the Relentless way, and let's just keep getting it.
Do it up. We got Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. And for those that love to tune in and watch and see some faces, YouTube. Season 3, episode number 5, the Relentless Way podcast, building the Relentless team.
Let's get it.